You're listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on the platform that you listen or watch us on. We really appreciate your support and thank you so much for being here. This week, we're talking all things flowers and florists. And it's not really my area of expertise, Em. So I'm hoping
No,
that you have brought some notes or research.
I'll bring my A game on the flowers.
Excellent.
It's like I've recently fallen in love with them. I think the more and more weddings we do, on our side hustle, the more I love flowers. So I've been getting more involved in them. I love them.
And I think the more that we style, the more clients that we work with, the more bigger events that we do and the more collaboration spaces that we do, I always find that flowers really finish it off.
Yeah,
And now that we're used to having flowers on our big frames and on our table settings and on the end of the aisle and blah blah blah, I always find now that it looks a little bit weird if
yeah.
there aren't any flowers.
Even if you put lots of candles and pine cones and all the stuff, it doesn't look finished, does it?
No. But the good news is that you're learning to become a florist, so
Yes, I
we are
am.
taking over the world
Florist in training badge on.
one day at a time.
Yes.
I think there's a Pinky in the Brain reference in here somewhere, but I'm just going to gloss over it. Um, I think a good place to start is to talk about where do you start. It's the same old story with this podcast. Where do you start with finding a florist? Because if you don't know anything about flowers like me, where do you even begin?
Yeah, I think it's tricky, isn't it? So when I got married, I found my florist at a wedding fair.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't actually pay that much attention to it. I just picked one. She seemed nice. Off I went, sent her some inspo pictures and sort of just trusted her. I wasn't that invested in it.
Hmm.
But I think I'll do it a bit differently now and sort of because I think different florists have different styles. And they have different things that they enjoy doing. So if you want a nice sort of romantic, floaty type of bouquet, then you might pick a different florist than if you wanted quite a cool, asymmetrical, modern type bouquet. And I think you need to find the florist that suits your style. And the only way that you can do that is by either stalking people on Instagram or going to a couple of wedding fairs and finding one that's close to you.
What was trendy when you got married, Em? Because that was what, 7 years
Yeah,
ago?
7 or 8 years ago. It was the era of jam jars on tables.
Hmm.
I think that's coming back round now, isn't it, with bud vases?
Hmm.
So we had jam jars filled with like a different array of flowers, but for bouquets, it was more of a structured bouquet, and so the waterfall bouquet, so where it sort of trailed downwards, was the was sort of in, and now it's much more bouncy and floaty, and like you've just picked up lots of flowers from the wild garden, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember, and this probably wasn't even that long ago, a sweetheart neckline was really fashionable. Fishtail, so sweetheart neckline with fishtail
Mm-hmm.
and really tight, neat roses.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing for quite a long time, and the bouquets were just these sort of
Little posies.
yeah, like
Mm.
neat little. I say all the wrong words. I think I said bush quite a lot the last time we talked about this.
Neat
But
little
neat
bit.
little balls.
Yeah,
They're like balls of flowers.
they're like really compact, weren't they?
Yeah.
And now they're a bit more, they're bigger, but they're not, there's more air in between all the flowers, so they
Mm.
bounce a bit more. And you see a lot now, don't you, with sort of I don't know the name of any of the flowers, but you know, the little cute little flowers that have really long stems and they stick out and they sort of like flow around and bounce. You see a lot of that.
And thistles, that's the thing.
Thistles, yeah, thistles, and also lots of more greenery, I think, are going into flowers now than it did in my day.
Before we started recording, we were talking about our birthdays, because it's mine and Em's birthday week this week. We tend to hover over a couple of weekends. And Em thinks that I'm much younger than I am, which is great. But I definitely feel old today. The girls at work asked me this afternoon if I'd seen something that had been trending on TikTok all day. I was like, no. So they had to send it to me via WhatsApp so I could be caught up to speed.
What's TikTok? That's the stage I'm in, I think.
They keep me young, Em. They keep me young. I guess when I was thinking about my flowers, so I've seen it done a few ways. So when my brother got married, my stepmom volunteered to do all of the flowers for them. So I think she bought a lot of them from the wholesaler the day before, and then made all of the buttonholes and the bouquets the morning of the wedding.
Mm.
Bit too stressful for me, that sort of time frame.
Yeah.
So that was one way that I've seen it done, and they looked like professional bouquets. You wouldn't have known any different. And they were really beautifully done, and she'd tied these lovely ribbons around the bridesmaid bouquets and the bride's bouquet, and they look lovely. Then I saw when my best friend got married, her mum did the same thing. They bought all of the flowers from a local wholesaler. They made the bouquets the day before, I think, kept them all in water. But again, they were sort of coming out of the super tight rose balls to slightly coming into more of a cascade looser bouquet. So they were somewhere in between, but I remember them being quite petite and just quite subtle. So as part of my planning, I was thinking, well, maybe I do make them myself. But then I thought that fake flowers would be much cheaper to start building bouquets or even buying the bouquets already made. But when I started costing it up, because I thought I'll use Etsy because I'm terrible at flower arranging, so I don't really want to make my own bouquets and it's going to take me ages. It took me a lot of time to even research where to get silk flowers, because I didn't want. You can get some really nice fake flowers, but then you can also get some really cheap looking ones.
Yeah, that have the glue still hanging off them.
Yeah. And I remember when I was little, my grandma would have these fake flower arrangements in like these sort of pottery little, and they just gathered dust and they just looked awful. And I remember thinking, no, I don't want my wedding to look like the fake flowers from 1984.
You were scarred.
I was scarred, yeah. I mean, God bless her, loved her to pieces. But all that research, all that time, and I actually ended up that having a florist do my flowers was probably going to work out cheaper and saving time more than anything else, as well as money.
Yeah. I think if you are going for the faux flower look because you want a big arch that's covered in roses, there are stylists and hire companies you can get that have them. And so if you want big centerpieces that have 100 white roses in, you're probably best off going down that hire the faux route, and then either buying some nice faux flow flowers for your bouquet or getting a florist just to do your bouquets. But if you are just wanting bouquets, it is probably cheaper to go to a florist because faux flowers are expensive. The only way they become cost effective is if you hire them from somebody that's already got them. Buying them in, you'll pay 2 or 3 times more for one rose than you would to buy a rose at a florist.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to keep your bouquet and put it in a vase and have it on your mantelpiece, then maybe, because I've just had my kitchen done, and I've got like an island, and I want like a big sort of like concrete pot. Sounds weird, but a concrete pot with flowers in. And so I was looking at faux flower arrangement that I could just put in this pot and then swap out for the season. And you're looking at £180 for like a a flower arrangement of like nice, decent. So they're not cheap.
£180.
Mm. It
And
had
how
like hydrangeas and bits and bobs going on. It's really pretty, but I'd want four because I'd want one for each season.
I was
And
having
that's
this
I'll just have an empty pot on my island.
I literally had this conversation with somebody yesterday because they were asking me what I did over my birthday weekend, blah blah blah. And I said, "Oh, I put my autumn decorations up." She was like, "All right, you have autumn decorations, do you?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. Autumn decorations that go up at well, it tends to be after my birthday, sometimes before, but usually after my birthday. Then swap the decorations out for Halloween because we're really into Halloween in this house, apparently. I didn't realise that until probably 5 years ago when Ian came home from London and started scaring the children while they were trick or treating. And we get so many trick or treaters here.
Oh, that's nice.
So we go all out for Halloween. And then the Halloween decorations come down, autumn decorations go back up, and that stays like that till we buy our Christmas tree, which tends to be first or second week of December.
Yep.
But she was honestly surprised that I have seasonal decorations for
Yeah.
my home.
Yeah, me too. I constantly have a wreath on my door. So I've got a spring one, I've got a summer one. I haven't actually got an autumn one up yet because I got it out. They're like I buy the faux ones that are really nice, but I got it out and it would all broke, and there was a real pumpkin in there that I didn't realize, and so it'd gone all moldy. So I need to find another one, but I have the Christmas one, and then the spring one goes back up. There's always a wreath on my door, and there's always some kind of decor for this whatever season we're in.
I like the concrete pot idea with your big flower arrangement in. How do you feel about pampas grass?
Nope.
Not at
I
your
love
wedding, not in your
Yeah,
kitchen.
I love the way Pampers looks. I can't touch it. It really makes me ick.
The
So we've
bits.
we've got them beautiful Pampers rings that we hire out. That's your problem. When they get hired out and we need to install them, that's Jen's area. I'll go tinkering around with something. I'll do the 500 chair sashes. You are dealing with that Pampers. I
Is
can't.
that is that because of the bits?
Yeah, it just makes my skin crawl.
I think it's because of the mess. That's how
Yeah,
you feel.
yeah,
And the potential risk of fire.
yes, yeah. If you're having Pampers in your wedding, don't have open flames because it goes up in about zero point 0.0 seconds.
And particularly if you sprayed, well, your stylist or florist will have sprayed your pampas with hairspray just so that it keeps all of the, I don't even know what you'd call them, all of the fluffy bits.
The devil stick, the devil fluff.
The hairspray keeps it all in one piece, but you will, I mean, we find with our pampas installation is that bits do drop off. They go onto your clothes. It will drop during the day. It is you need like a little mini Hoover in your apron and your kit bag because stressful.
Yeah.
What are the best wedding flowers you've seen, Em?
Um, I've got two come to mind. Your bouquet was one of my favourites I've ever seen.
It's nice.
Yeah, I thought it was just like really classic, but had a bit of personality and was nice and big and like airy. It was really nice. Um, I really liked. So we did a wedding that was outside, and we were setting up the ceremony, and we had a big hexagonal arch, and the florist came uh, just with it seemed like, to the untrained eye, just a couple of buckets of random flowers, and produced really, really beautiful installations on the arch. And it was kind of like wild flowers, but they really had some substance. It was really, really pretty, and it
And
matched.
really rich colours, weren't they?
Yeah, when you saw them all in buckets, you wouldn't have thought that that would have been produced from that. She was really skilled and really, really nice, which helps.
Always helps.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you?
worst flowers that you've ever seen?
Well, I could be quite self-deprecating now. I attempted to make my cousin's bouquets, and they were really pretty, but because I did them, when you do it, you see all the flaws in it. But I won't say that because they were really pretty.
I said this the other day. Whenever Ian cooks dinner, it always tastes much better than when I do.
Yeah.
And he's not a better cook than I am. I just see the work that goes in. I've done all the chopping. I'm invested. I can't tell if it tastes good or not because I've been there from the start.
Yeah. That's exactly the same as when you're styling the arch and you're putting fabric on it, and then you drape all the fabric and you step back and you think, oh, well, that looks a bit stupid. And then someone comes in and goes, oh, that looks amazing. And then you sort of step away for 10 minutes and come back and it looks really nice.
Mm,
But you just can't, when you do it, you just can't see its beauty.
no, you can't.
I've really seen any awful flowers, because I think flowers, it's when they're half dead. It's when the flowers aren't like alive.
What
Mm.
about fake flowers?
Oh, well, yeah, yes. I thought we were talking about real flowers from florists.
Either or, I think, in this
Um,
episode. Just gonna throw you under the bus.
yeah, so when I was saying, if you want like an arch or a massive centerpiece with 100 white roses and you hire them in from a company, I have seen one where it's just not the best quality and it's all a bit dirty and a bit falling apart. So just go, before you hire it, just ask to see it,
Yeah,
because
that's a good idea. Because how else would you know? Because unless you basically go to a wedding and think, yeah, I want rinse and repeat version of this wedding, and I'm going to use exactly the same supplier because I can see that these fake flowers are beautiful. I can see that they've been well put together and well looked after. Blah blah blah. Yes, I'm happy to use this faux florist or stylist. Otherwise, yeah, request to see them because Instagram can be deceiving.
yeah. And they do just get stuffed in a box or in the back of a van. Um, we've got some faux floral bits, and we sort of carefully put them in their little packets, put them back in the box. They get stored in a dry place. But if they're big and they're being used a lot, they're just being thrown around.
Well, we're careful with everything because the head of logistics and operational delivery in our side hustle, which is just Ian, my husband, and he's also in an unpaid role, like all the employees that work for us. He is so meticulous with how everything gets even packed into the van. When I got home from the wedding that we did last week, I drove the van back. I was tired because we'd been there delivering the wedding all day. Didn't want to reverse it into its parking space because it's quite tight in because we just park it where Ian parks his car. Long story short, I know that's boring. Um, and I knew he was going to say it. I just knew he was going to ask or have a look in the back of the van to see how I had packed it from leaving the venue. Bearing in mind, we'd unloaded, we'd set the wedding, we then stayed for changeover, moved some of the bits and bobs into the wedding reception room, made sure that the bride and groom were happy. It looked stunning. It was my kind of vibes, autumnal pumpkins, not Halloween wedding, but very burnt orange, just really crisp autumnal vibes. It was stunning. I knew he was going to open up the back of the van and have either just a sly look in there to see how I'd packed it on the way home. Bearing in mind, it's just empty boxes or cardboard that we needed to dispose of or bits that we hadn't used. He asked me as he was getting into the van, how untidy is it in the back there?
Just the empty boxes.
I was
Leave
like,
us alone.
I was just like, oh God, just prepare. I was like, it's really bad. Do not even open the doors. So I prepared him for possibly worse than he might have thought. Open the doors. He's like, oh, it's not that bad. You've actually done quite a good job. Yes, thank you. But he's so meticulous when we're packing up from the venue that we'd have to take all of the batteries out the candles because he doesn't
They
want
all
any
the
of them.
candles get put back into their little sheaths so that they don't get dirty or dented. But it seems like a bit of a ball ache when you're doing it, but then you get it all back out the next time and it all looks new.
Mm,
And so even though that candle has been to 12 weddings, it still looks new for the people that you're styling for, so it is worth it.
mhm.
But at 12 o'clock at night, when all you want to do is just get everything back into the van and he's making you take batteries out, it's just like, oh my God, come on.
But I know that if I don't, then he'll
Yeah.
shout at me.
Yeah.
Who didn't take the batteries out of this candle? Not me. Probably was me. Best flowers that I've seen. I have to say that the flowers that my stepmom does always look stunning and effortless. I'm not sure how stress-free it is for her. I also, it's gonna sound awful, bit narcissistic, but I loved mine. I
Mhm.
thought the colours really complemented the bridesmaid dresses. I loved how big mine was. I just I really loved how she'd done everything, and my flowers will always be really special to me just because of our relationship that we then had with the florist. So the florist that I had for my wedding, lovely lady called Jude, she ran a business with a business partner similar to how Emma and I work, and she was just she's just the life and soul.
She's like salt of the earth, isn't
Yeah.
she? You know,
And
nothing would phase her. She was always down to earth, always ready for like just always joking, not taking herself too seriously.
always happy to help.
Yeah.
And you'd pop down to Jude's place, you wouldn't come out of there for 2, 3 hours because you're just chatting. Oh, would you like a cup of tea? Oh, stay for a little gin cocktail, and just she's got so much knowledge of the industry, and she's always there to answer questions.
She
She
really helped us at the beginning, didn't she?
really helped us in the beginning. She invited us to our first wedding fair. She supported the business from the beginning, just boosted our confidence in general, really. She's had to give up her business now because of quite serious health reasons, but she will always be one of my favourite people that
Yeah.
we've worked with.
Yeah. Actually, you know that first wedding fair that we did with her.
Hmm.
And so she was styling um the ceremony area outside, and she asked to sort of for us to bring some of our wood pieces. That that where she sort of did. So we've got these things called wood stacks, which are basically a huge slab of wood with different lengths of wood on top, and she made these round installation
It's like a
floral.
topper.
yeah, like a topper floral pieces with candles in, and it was with loads of moss, and that looked really pretty.
All the succulents that she bought.
Succulents and moss, and yeah, it was really nice, wasn't it?
Mm. Freezing cold though.
It was.
I think it was snowing at one point, wasn't it?
It felt like it. Yeah.
Freezing, and we seem to find ourselves in a wind tunnel. Um, what other flower? I just love flowers. The installation that for the outdoor wedding on the hexagon arch, that was stunning. I really like when the florist walks in. First of all, I love it when they're on time.
Yeah.
That's my favourite part. They're on time or early. That's even better. All of their kits there ready to go. We've built the frame and they're straight on it. And I remember having a conversation with one of the florists that we've worked with, just saying, how do you have a plan? Like, how do you pull this together? Or are you just sort of seeing what happens in the moment? She said that because she's done these sort of installations quite a lot, she knows how many flowers she needs. She knows how to put the it's basically the fixture that you put the flowers onto the frame, because she's done it a few times, and then just starts placing flowers and foliage into the frame. I was like, you just sort of throw it together, if you like, pretty much.
Yep. There are some really clever people.
I think the worst, it was a wedding that we did earlier this year. We obviously arrive early because depending on where we can park the van or the cars or whatever we're transporting everything in, sometimes it takes a bit of time to even get it to the venue. So if it's a 10 o'clock setup, we probably will be there from 9:30, getting things out the van, starting to move things closer to the venue, because sometimes we can be lugging our chunky items, I don't know, 100 meters sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where the pieces are going. I think within about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, we were set up ready to go. The florist had barely started. Bearing in mind they were dressing a ceiling, what would you even call that?
It was like, it's like an old wheel ceiling
Like chandelier,
chandelier type thing. That
naked
it was two.
wooden chandelier.
Yeah, there were two of them too.
And she was building this foliage waterfall cascading design. Had they even brought a ladder?
No, they had to go find one in the venue.
That
Also,
kind of thing really stresses me out, because there's no trust there, and unlike the outdoor frame and the ceremony that we did the setup, and the florist turned up, she knew exactly what she was doing, she knew how much time it would take her, she was there early, she was waiting for the frame to go up, she'd done all of the bud vases, everything was out.
she'd also bought extra flowers because she knew they were working with a stylist, so she bought extra flowers just in case we needed them for the bud vases, or she was really prepared, knew what she was doing.
That's the kind of florist that you want.
These two, I think these two also, not only were they late and not only were they cutting it really fine and didn't bring what they needed, they also, I don't think they advised the couple very well. So the couple had these sort of little mini troughs with flowers in that were obviously going to go down the aisle and then were going to be used on their table, which is a fantastic idea, repurposing the flowers. But I don't think they advised them well enough, because what you put on a table and might look okay looks tiny on the floor, and if you've only got 6 of them, it looks like you've just accidentally dropped a couple of things on the floor. They weren't big enough to put on the floor. So I think the florist could have advised them better to say we might actually need to build these up a bit, make these a bit bigger, put a bit more height into them to make them work for both. But instead, I think they just did the bare minimum, which is really sad.
Mm. And I just couldn't believe that they hadn't brought the right kit. And they are a recommended supplier of the venue that they were working in. And flustered, stressed, things clearly weren't going to plan because I think they asked for your help at one point.
Yeah, I was there holding whatever I was holding.
Yeah. Well,
So that is sort of one tip, isn't it? When picking your florist and having the consultations, do listen to what they say and ask, do you think this is my idea, do you think this will work, how would you do it to make it better? Because they do know these things.
they also come with their own sort of, I would say, small styling collections too. So if you're looking, you don't have to buy all of your vases because they probably have vases that they hire out as part of their package,
Yep.
or that they'll throw in anyway. Or if you're looking for a centerpiece, but then with maybe 3 candlesticks, they could potentially have that because they will have done a variety of different weddings before. Fishbowl centerpieces with flowers and candles in. They probably have the fish bowls because they've done that before.
Yeah. And if you're having about 10 tables, they'll definitely have enough. If you're having a massive wedding with 20 tables, they probably don't. But when you go to visit your florists, whether it's in their garden shed or they've got a shop, you'll see that the shelves with all the different options that they've got.
Because I collected my own vases and she basically threw them out and used her own anyway. I don't think she even charged us for that. I don't think the vases worked at the time because we had hydrangeas as part of our centerpiece, and they were massive, so she needed a bigger vase.
Yeah, I don't think they do. You don't actually get charged to hire them. I think it's just built into the cost, and then they'll just come and collect them.
Because they already have them.
Exactly.
They already have them. Anything from you, Em?
I'm just going to sneeze. 1 second, listeners.
Viewers? Bless you.
Sorry.
I don't think it picked up on the mic.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I think I've got another one coming, but I'm just going to go on through. No, I think finding a florist that works with your style and having an ish idea about what you want so you can have a conversation with them is a good idea. But I think you can listen to what they say. They'll know what flowers are in season. They'll know what flowers work with your budget. They'll know. So if you pick one and trust them, I would say.
I also think that if you don't know anything about flowers, like me, I didn't even think about what flowers are going to be in season when I'm getting married. Didn't even give it a thought. I just thought, okay, I quite like the look of this. I quite like the look of that. But if you specifically want, I don't know. I don't even know any flowers and okay, let's say daffodils because I know that they are a spring flower. Let's say you want your wedding full of daffodils, but you're having a autumnal wedding. That's going to be challenging or costly. I don't really know.
They'll be able to do it. It'd just be really expensive. Daffodils might be a bit different, but if you want flowers that aren't in
Tulips.
season, you can do it. They have to. Most flowers are imported anyway, but they just have to be imported on a special order, which then hikes up the price. And
Because if you want a tulip vibe, I associate tulips with Mother's Day. So that's what, March?
yep.
They're going to have to get those in from Holland if it's the end of summer/winter wedding. or even
It'd be further away than Holland.
Yeah.
Most flowers that you buy are from Holland.
Interesting. So yeah, I would definitely have a look at when you're getting married, what flowers are going to be in season, your color scheme, tying it all in together, because the flowers really do set off everything else. And I'm really glad that I didn't have fake flowers in my bouquets, because the real flowers also added bounce and depth and just another dimension to the photographs and to the video. And I'm glad that Ian's mum persuaded me to go for real flowers, because she was horrified that I had even considered faux flowers. And yeah.
Yeah, I really like real flowers. That being said, the wedding that we did this weekend, they were all real. Well, no, I think there were some faux flowers in there, but they were all dried.
Mm.
When we were first having the conversations with our couple, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Sort of thinking, oh, I wonder how that's going to work. But actually, they were I think it was the mother of the groom did them all, and it really worked. They were really pretty. So dried flowers are quite nice.
I
They
loved
work.
how she'd used different textures through her arrangements, also different styles. So she had a couple of bigger florals, if you like. One of them was in a it was a like metallic
Milk jug type.
thing. The other one was in a clear vase, but you didn't even notice the vase, I didn't think, because the arrangement that she'd done was beautiful. And then she'd also made these entwined garlands, sort of like a flat arrangement, which again, just having dotted around, I just thought they were really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she agreed to us putting them upstairs in the ceremony, because it just really set the whole thing off, I thought.
She also did a mixture of buttonholes, pocket squares, and wrist corsages.
Yeah, I saw the corsages. I was like, oh my God, the corsage. Loved
Yeah,
it.
it was just really nice. She'd really, really thought hard and spent a lot of time doing them, and it really showed.
And she was really proud of how it all came together, with everything that we did, with everything that the couple had done themselves, with all of her work. It just really worked. And her face when she walked in to see everything before the wedding, her face just lit up when she saw everything.
She should be proud. That was a lot of hard work, and it was really, really pretty. So yeah, dried flowers worked really well for that autumnal. And then she put some because dried flowers can be dull. They can dull down a bit, can't they? So she put in some faux flowers which were sort of bringing in that brighter orange, which brought everything to life a bit. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. I don't think I really knew what to expect, and then when I saw them when I walked in, I thought, oh, these look really nice.
Yeah.
And just all the colours and the contrast of the dry and the colour, and it just looked lovely.
Yes.
We were at a wedding fair recently, and we actually caught up with one of our florist friends. So it's Claire's Floristry and Events. We just did a short interview with Claire just to chat to her about floristry life and what to do when you're choosing your florist and things to think about. So we're going to hand over to me and Claire at the Lo and Behold, another wedding fair. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
I am Claires Floristry. I thought really hard about the name of that when I started. I do everything from start to finish with florals. So I will have a personal meeting with you to discuss your colours, your designs, your vibe, and then we take it from there and bring them on the day so that you look wonderful with them.
Oh, that's really nice. And So if you're a bride or if you're a couple and you're starting your wedding planning and florist is sort of second on your list after your wedding venue, what would you suggest that they do next?
What, as in when they come to me? So they need to come to me with some sort of vibe or idea. I do have people that send me like 3 different pictures and they're of 3 completely different things. So it's my job to discuss with them and to like whittle it out and say you can't really have that with that, and then what sort of colour do we want to go in between, and then take it from there.
Yeah,
that's my job.
And I think when you're starting your wedding planning, it's really helpful to know what your florist wants to hear from you. Yeah. So, real or fake flowers? We get this question quite a lot. So, some people think that fake flowers are going to cost you less. Some people like the dimension that real flowers give you. What's your thoughts on that?
So at the moment, it's not like it used to be with artificial flowers where they're like them really cheap looking nasty ones. You can get some really nice ones, and that's the ones that we will use if we're going to use them. The benefits to having them is that you can hire them, so you're not left with a load of flowers at the end of the evening that you don't want. We can coordinate the artificial with a fresh bouquet so that they match, but obviously you're not left with them at the end. Alternatively, if you want all fresh, then you can give them as a gift at the end of the night. So you've got to weigh up what you wanted to do, really.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Definitely not cheaper.
And if you could give a piece of advice to a couple starting their wedding process, what would you say to them?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, just enjoy the process, I reckon. You get quite very stressed out. I see very stressed people, and the men don't want to contribute to anything. But if they do start to have their input put in, then they can sort of come together and enjoy it.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Claire.
No worries. Oh, I love Claire. I think she's great. I'm actually going to she lives quite close to me. I'm actually going to a pumpkin floral workshop with her on Friday night.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's hosting it at her, because I think she's got like a little unit with a shop in the front. She's hosting it there, so we're gonna carve out pumpkins and put flowers in them.
That is so cute.
I know, I'm so excited to put it on where my concrete vase should be. That's got no flowers in it because I can't afford it. I'm just gonna put my pumpkin there instead.
I think the great thing about Claire is that she's really personable.
Yes.
She also brings a wealth of knowledge. She also understands dynamics between different couples, and she's really creative, really thorough, and really enjoys what she does. So yeah, I think your pumpkin workshop's going to be great. I didn't realise that you would be carving them.
Well, we got an email from her, because I think there'll be about 10 or 11. I don't know how many, but there'll be a small group of us that she emailed us, what time to arrive and where to park, and there'll be fizz and all of that. And she said we'll do everything from carving them out to styling them after.
So cute.
Yeah, so actually that's probably that could be a lot of florists do sort of wreath making workshops. The pumpkin thing, they might do spring wreath making. If your florist does do that, it might be a good chance to get to know them better and get to know their style. So before you sort of book them, do a few of them exciting experiences, maybe with your bridesmaids or something, to scope them out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Spend some time with them.
And I think there's also a flower, I think it's more like a flower barn, where they do a similar thing. So they have a bit of an open day. They showcase what they can do. They share some of their flower arrangements, etc., etc. And then you can go around, pick flowers, and create your own bouquet. So it's a similar experience, making something and seeing their work as well.
Yes.
One thing that Judith also taught me was have empty vases scattered through your venue, because if you're having, even if you're having real and faux flowers mixed together, which is what Claire was talking about, or if you have real flowers, or again just fake flower bouquets, use them to decorate your venue. Because once you've finished your ceremony, once you've finished your photos, once you've finished all of the formal bits, 9 times out of 10 you're just going to pop your bouquet on the table and then take it home in the evening.
Yeah,
put it into a vase that's got some water in it, spruce up your venue with extra florals that are from your bouquet, your bridesmaid bouquets, all of that kind of thing. I've also seen some buttonholes that are extra buttonholes being used to just sort of finish off different areas. So make sure that you consider that when you're also styling or putting out your bits and bobs in your
Yeah,
venue.
especially in the reception area, because by that time normally you've had all your bouquet photos taken.
Mhm.
So you can give them to your stylist or the team that are working at your venue, and they can put them on your top table, because often the bouquets have the best quality flowers in.
Mhm.
So you put them on your top table. Nice. Good.
Nice.
Good tip.
So that's it for flowers and florists.
Flowers and florists.
Please like, subscribe, rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you listen to us or watch us on. If you want to keep up to date with the podcast and share your subjects that you want us to cover or any dilemmas or questions that you've got, please follow us at the I Do Crew podcast on Instagram. Next week, we're talking all things awkward moments. So, if you're uncomfortable with having your picture taken for 48 hours, which I was, I got to 7 o'clock on day 2 and I was like, I'm not smiling anymore. Just had enough. Or cutting of the cake whilst smiling. Why are we doing this? We're going to be talking all about awkward wedding moments.
I look forward to that one.
Excellent. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
You've been listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Keep up to date with our podcast news by following our I Do Crew podcast Instagram account. Thanks for listening.